Welcome to the Taste China Learn English.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So picture this. You're standing in the middle of the largest, busiest city in the ancient world.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm picturing it.
And it's a freezing winter day. You hear this loud smacking sound, right? Like fresh dough hitting wooden tables.
A great sound.
Yeah. And the air around you just smells thick and amazing. It's this mix of roasted cumin, hot chili oil, and slow cooked pork.
That sounds incredible.
Right. Today, we are taking you on a journey.
We certainly are. We're traveling back in time over 1,000 years, right into the heart of an ancient empire.
Exactly. Our mission today is very special. We have a mouth-watering deep dive for you, exploring the rich historical food culture of Xi'an.
And because we are here to help you learn, we have a second mission today, don't we?
Yes, we do. We're going to teach you some really solid, powerful English words.
Right.
These are the kinds of descriptive words you can use to talk about, heavy, incredibly satisfying meals.
It is the perfect topic for exploring language. But I mean, to truly understand this food, we have to look at the history first.
Right. Let's set the stage.
So, 1,000 years ago, during the Tang Dynasty, the city we now call Xi'an was known as Chang'an.
Ching.
Yes. And Chang was not just a normal city, it was the absolute center of the world. It was actually the starting point of the famous Silk Road.
Right, the Silk Road.
Yeah.
When we hear that name, we usually think of merchants riding on camels across the desert.
Traveling for thousands of miles.
Exactly. And they were trading silk and spices. But they weren't just carrying heavy bags of goods.
No, they were not.
They were carrying new ideas, new religions, and most importantly for us today, they were bringing new flavors.
Exactly. When you have thousands of travelers moving across a continent, cultures just bump into each other.
Yeah, they mix.
Right. The geographical location of this city meant the food became a unique historical mix. You had the traditional Chinese farming culture meeting the Middle Eastern traders.
Oh, I see.
So the strong, warm spices from the West, like cumin and coriander, they suddenly met the ancient cooking styles of the East.
Wow. So, what does this massive clash of cultures actually mean for your stomach?
That's the important question.
Well, it means Xi'an became the ultimate paradise for carb lovers.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack that word quickly. Carbs. It's a short, friendly word for carbohydrates.
Right.
Carbs are the foods that, give human beings lots of energy to do hard work. Think of heavy, comforting foods like bread, noodles, and rice.
And in Xi'an, I have to say, they have truly mastered the art of wheat.
They really have.
They know how to transform simple flour and water into something magical.
Okay, let's get into the food. Imagine you are one of those tired merchants on the Silk Road.
Okay, I'm tired, I'm cold.
You just arrived in the city, you are super busy, and you need to eat something while walking to the market. What is the first thing you grab?
Well, you would grab something that is actually the original fast food.
Wait, really?
Yeah, we are talking about a street snack that predates the Western fast food hamburger by hundreds of years.
Oh, wow.
Long before drive-through windows even existed, people in Xi'an were eating on the go.
So people often call it the Chinese hamburger, right? But the real name is Rujiamo.
Yes, Ruggiamo.
Let's look closely at the engineering of this ancient sandwich,
Yeah.
because it's actually quite clever.
It's brilliant. The engineering really starts with the bread. It's called a baijimo. It's a special flatbread.
Okay, a flatbread.
Now, a lot of flatbreads are soft all the way through, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the chef bakes this specific bread in a very hot clay oven.
Ah, clay oven.
Yeah, the intense heat bounces off the clay walls and hits the dough perfectly.
Wait, let me guess why that matters. The clay oven gets so hot that it instantly cooks the outside of the dough. It makes it hard.
Exactly.
But the inside stays protected, so it steams and stays totally fluffy.
You have described the mechanism perfectly. The outside becomes beautifully crispy. I mean, it literally cracks when you bite it.
Oh, I love that.
But the inside remains incredibly soft and warm. It's just ready to absorb whatever you put inside it.
And what we put inside it is the main event. It's pork, right? But not just a quick slice of ham.
Oh, definitely not. No, this meat takes time. The pork is braised for hours.
Braised.
Right. Braising is a cooking technique where you cook meat very, very slowly in a hot liquid.
Okay.
And this liquid is usually in a giant, ancient-looking pot that just sits right there on the street corner. The soup inside the pot contains over 20 different spices.
20 spices! That is incredible.
It is.
The slow heat must break down all the tough parts of the pork until it just melts. And that brings us to our first big English vocabulary word today.
Yes, it does.
The word is shredded.
Shredded. It is a very visual word, isn't it?
Very visual.
When the vendor pulls the hot meat out of the braising pot, they don't just slice it into neat little squares.
No, the meat is so soft from hours of cooking that it just falls apart.
Right.
So shredded describes how the vendor cuts and tears the meat into long, thin strings. If something is shredded, it is pulled apart violently but easily.
Exactly.
Think of like shredded cheese that melts on a pizza, or shredded paper that goes through a machine. When you chop the meat quickly with a heavy knife, it becomes perfectly shredded.
And then the vendor does the most important step.
Yeah. What's that?
They take a spoonful of the rich, dark meat juice right from that giant braising pot,
Oh, wow.
and they pour that hot juice directly over the shredded meat right before they close the warm bread.
Okay, I love comparing this to modern fast food. Think about a regular burger from a giant modern chain restaurant.
Sure.
It's usually just a flat, dry piece of meat on a really boring bun.
Very true.
But here, you have an ancient recipe using 20 spices. When you take a bite, that spoonful of hot juice mixes with the crispy bread. It creates a complete flavor bomb.
The flavor bomb.
Yeah, bomb explodes, right? So flavor bomb means a huge, wonderful explosion of fatty, savory goodness right in your mouth. Honestly, modern fast food cannot even compete with this.
It really cannot.
Uh,
But, well, let's look at the bigger picture.
okay.
Rujama was the perfect fuel for a merchant on the move. But what happens when that same merchant finally finishes a brutal, freezing week traveling on the Silk Road?
Oh, they are probably exhausted.
Exactly. They don't want fast food anymore. They want something that forces them to stop, sit down, and just warm up from the inside out.
Right. They need a totally different experience.
Exactly. So we are transitioning to a meal that requires you to slow down. You need to sit with your friends, and strangely enough, you actually have to work for your dinner.
Wait, hold on. I'm paying for the food in this restaurant, but I have to work.
Yes, you do. And what's fascinating here is the unique ritual of this specific dish.
Okay, tell me more.
The dish is called Yangru Paomo. Simply translated, it means mutton soup with bread.
Mutton.
Right. Mutton is a strong, flavorful meat that comes from an adult sheep.
Okay, let's walk through this ritual. Let's say I walk into the warm restaurant to escape the cold winter wind. I sit down at a table. Do they just bring me a big hot bowl of soup?
Not at all. The waiter approaches your table, but they hand you a completely empty bowl.
An empty bowl.
Yes. And inside the empty bowl, there are just 2 pieces of hard, dense bread.
Wait, an empty bowl and hard bread? This sounds like buying DIY furniture.
DIY furniture.
Yeah. You know when you buy a bookshelf from the store, it comes in a flat box with 50 pieces and you have to build it yourself.
Oh, wait.
I'm basically doing the chef's work for them.
It does feel a bit like a project, but there is a very important scientific reason for this ritual. And this action brings us to our next important English word.
Which is?
Crumble. Ah, crumble.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you crumble something, you break it into tiny pieces with your fingers,
Exactly.
like a dry cookie breaking apart in your hands.
Yeah.
So I have to sit there and break this hard bread.
Yes, you must crumble the bread into the empty bowl. But the rule is strict. You cannot just break it into big, lazy chunks.
Oh, I can't. No. The pieces must be incredibly small. In fact, local people will tell you the pieces of crumbled bread should be the size of a single grain of rice. or a small bee.
A grain of rice.
Yes,
That means I have to sit at the table breaking bread with my thumbs for 20 minutes.
it does take time, which is why this dish requires a lot of patience.
Ah, patience.
Right. Patience means you can wait calmly for a long time without getting angry or frustrated.
Mhm.
But the patience is actually the best part.
Why is that?
It's a wonderful social activity. It forces you to put down whatever you are doing, sit, relax, and chat with your friends while your hands do the work.
Okay, let's talk about the mechanics here. Why do the pieces have to be so tiny? If I leave them big, what goes wrong?
It is all about surface area.
Surface area, okay.
If you leave the bread in big chunks, the rich soup will only touch the outside. The inside of the chunk will stay dry and hard.
Oh, that makes sense.
But when you crumble the bread into hundreds of tiny rice-sized pieces, you create maximum surface area. Every single tiny piece acts like a little sponge.
So I finally finish crumbling the bread. I show my patience. The waiter takes my bowl of tiny bread pieces back into the kitchen. Let me guess. The chef doesn't just pour hot water over it.
Definitely not. In the kitchen, the chef boils your crumbled bread in a thick, rich mutton broth that has been cooking all day long.
Oh, wow.
They also throw in some clear glass noodles and slices of soft mutton. When the bowl comes back to you, the transformation is incredible.
What happens to the bread?
The bread has completely changed its texture. It has become spongy.
Spongy, that's a great descriptive word. A spun is that soft, squishy thing you use to wash dishes because it holds water.
Right.
So when food is spongy, it means it is soft, springy, and absolutely full of delicious liquid.
Right. And because the bread is made specially, it becomes spongy, but it doesn't melt into mush.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, it holds its shape. When you bite into that spongy bread, all the complex flavors of the mutton soup release into your mouth all at once.
Okay, I admit the 20 minutes of DIY labor is totally worth it.
It really is.
And there is a perfect English word to describe this kind of soup. The word is hearty.
Hearty is a fantastic word.
Right. When we describe a meal as hearty, we mean it is massive, heavy, and deeply satisfying. A hearty meal gives you physical strength.
Exactly. Like a little side salad is not hearty,
No, definitely not.
but a bowl of rich mutton soup packed with spongy bread and noodles, that is the ultimate hearty meal.
It's the kind of food that fills your stomach, warms your blood, and just makes you feel safe on a freezing winter day.
It really is comfort food at its finest.
So true.
So, we have explored the quick, intensely flavorful Ruggiamo for the traveler on the move,
Check.
and we've experienced the quiet patience of crumbling bread for a hearty winter soup. Now we move to our final dish.
Okay, where are we going now?
Well, this one is famous for being loud, bold, and incredibly striking to look at.
Food that is loud. Here's where it gets really interesting. Tell me more.
We are talking about Biang Biang noodles.
Biang biang noodles.
Yes, this is arguably the most famous dish in Xi'an. And what is so unique is that the name of the food actually comes from a sound effect in the kitchen.
What kind of sound?
Well, to make these noodles, the chef doesn't use a machine. They take a large piece of raw dough in their hands and they stretch it by slamming it against a hard wooden table.
Wow.
When the heavy dough hits the wood, it makes a loud smacking sound. Bing gang. Bing. So the people just named the food after the noise the chef makes. Bing gang.
Exactly.
That is brilliant. Why do they slam it though? Is it just for a show?
No, it's actually food science. Slamming the dough stretches it naturally and builds up the gluten inside the wheat.
Oh, gluten.
Right. Gluten is what makes bread and noodles wonderfully chewy. The harder you slam it, the better the texture becomes.
The name is fun, but the Chinese written character for Biang is also famous, isn't it?
It is legendary. It is widely considered the most complex written character in the Chinese language.
Yes. Yeah. It takes 58 separate brush strokes just to write it. It looks like a complex piece of architecture on the page.
58 strokes for one noodle. That's amazing. But let's talk about the noodles themselves, because these are not thin, delicate little strings of pasta.
No, they are not.
And this brings us to another great English vocabulary word. The word is broad.
Broad is a very useful word. It is another way to say something is very wide, spanning a large distance from one side to the other.
Yes, and these noodles are incredibly broad. In fact, locals often say they are as wide as a belt.
A belt. Yeah.
The actual leather belt you wear around your waist to hold up your pants. Imagine eating a noodle that wide and long.
And because the noodles are so broad and flat, they act like a huge blank canvas for flavor.
Oh, I see.
They can hold a massive amount of toppings. The chef boils these broad noodles, puts them in a bowl, and then piles heavy raw garlic, spring onions, and bright red chili flakes right on top.
And then comes the absolute best part, the final step.
Yes. The chef heats up cooking oil in a pan until it is smoking hot. Then they pour that sizzling, dangerous hot oil directly over the raw garlic and the chili flakes.
Oh, I can hear that sizzling sound just thinking about it. Why do they use hot oil instead of just mixing it?
It is a technique called blooming.
Blooming.
When the extremely hot oil hits the dry spices and the raw garlic, it instantly cooks them. It pulls out all their essential oils and deep flavors and spreads that flavor all over the broad noodles.
The smell must be unbelievable. When that hot oil hits the chili, the aroma that fills the room is irresistible.
Irresistible. That is a powerful word.
It is.
If something is irresistible, it means it is too tempting, too attractive to be ignored. You simply cannot fight it. Your brain just says, I must eat that right now.
The smell pulls you in completely. Eating biang biang noodles is really a multi-sensory experience.
Definitely.
It uses everything you have. You hear the loud gang biang sound. You see the massive broad noodles covered in bright red chili. You smell the irresistible hot oil. And then you get that chewy, spicy taste.
It is a dish that truly demands all of your attention. You cannot be distracted while eating it.
You really can't. And I would describe this dish with one final word today. The word is rustic.
Rustic.
Rustic describes something that is simple, traditional, and rough around the edges. It reminds you of the countryside. It is absolutely not trying to be fancy.
That is a perfect description. It's honest food. It's not served on a tiny white plate in a quiet, expensive restaurant with soft music.
Exactly. It's served in a big, messy bowl on a wooden table. And sometimes the least fancy, most rustic food is actually the most delicious.
I agree completely.
A loud, rustic bowl of broad noodles hits your soul in a way that expensive fine dining just can't.
We have covered so much amazing food, history, and science today.
We really have.
Let's take a quick moment to synthesize what we have learned for our listeners. It is time for our word tour.
Oh, great.
Let's review the solid English words we learned to describe these meals.
I love the word tour. Let's recap.
Our first word was shredded. This means torn or cut into long, thin strings.
Right. We used it to describe the soft, braised pork that falls apart perfectly for the Chinese hamburger.
Next was crumble. To crumble is to break something dry into tiny, small pieces with your hands.
Like breaking the hard bread into pieces as small as a grain of rice.
Exactly. Which requires our third word, patience. The ability to wait calmly and work slowly without getting angry.
Then we had spongy. Soft and full of liquid. The tiny pieces of bread absorb the mutton soup like a sponge, creating a meal that is.
Hearty. A large, heavy, and very satisfying meal that gives you strength and warms you on a cold day.
Our next read was broad, very wide, just like the biang biang noodles that are as broad as a leather belt.
Which are topped with hot oil to create a smell that is irresistible, so attractive and tempting that you cannot say no to it.
And finally, rustic, simple, traditional, rough, and honest. Food that is not trying to be fancy, but is deeply satisfying.
Those are excellent, highly descriptive words. They will really elevate how you talk about food in English.
You know, thinking about all these dishes, it raises an important observation.
What's that?
The food of Xi'an perfectly mirrors the history of the city itself. The food is strong, it is ancient, it is full of bold character.
It really is a living museum.
It is. And that brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. Something for you to ponder.
Okay.
We often think of globalization as a totally modern invention,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
We think it's something from the internet age or the era of airplanes. But when you look at a simple street food sandwich, a piece of local Chinese flatbread stuffed with pork that has been braised in 20 different spices brought over on camels from the Middle East, it makes you wonder,
Oh, I see where you're going.
was the ancient world actually much more connected than we give it credit for? Globalization wasn't just happening 1,000 years ago, people were eating it for lunch.
That is a fascinating way to look at it. The Silk Road is literally right there in the bowl.
It really is. Well, that is all the time we have for our journey to ancient Shang today. We hope you enjoyed the flavors and the vocabulary.
We really do.
Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a deep dive with us. Stay hungry for knowledge and keep practicing your English.